Afternoon, everybody. I am going to talk today about Fords for Philly. As it says there, it's a little tagline. The idea is monthly service, lasting impacts. So I'm excited to get into it. So a little bit about me, and I guess about the name too, is I just graduated from Haverford College actually a month ago today. Um, and at Haverford, the nickname for students is Fords, hence Fords for Philly. And I joined our Office of Service and Community Collaboration, which we call the OSCC, my first year at Haverford. And fun fact, I actually applied for the OSCC while I was still technically in high school, because I knew right off the bat that the OSCC was something I wanted to be involved with. So I reached out very early on to get involved. And the OSCC, a little background, it used to be called Eighth Dimension. And essentially, that name comes from the fact that at Haverford, community service used to be a part of the curriculum requirements. So, in order to graduate, you needed a certain number of service hours. Over the years, that requirement has gone away. It's no longer a part of the Haverford curriculum. And with that, the name has changed to the Office of Service. And unfortunately, something I noticed during my time there is there really was a lack of community involvement, community engagement on campus. And we have this idea, you see it there and in this bullet point of the Haver bubble, where, students come to Haverford. It's a very, very small campus, only 1,400 students, and they don't tend to leave the campus, even though we're very close to a lot. We're on the main line, which is the highest density for colleges anywhere in the US. It's a very busy area. We're 20 minutes outside of Philadelphia. We're in the Ardmore area. There's a lot of community right around us that isn't engaged with as much as it could be. And as a result, we have this thing called the Haver bubble where students get so siloed into campus. So the purpose of the OSCC and the purpose of this project was really bursting the Haver bubble and getting kids connected to the community, not just Ardmore, but Philadelphia. So I want to talk a little bit about the process. Working with the OSCC already gave me a big advantage because I had access to this community on campus that was already dedicated to this kind of work. And I knew getting to the grant funds that whatever I did, I wanted to do in partnership with the OSCC. So, as it says there, it was outreach in the sense that I walked down to my boss's office and said, I would really like to do this project. And her name's Emily, and she was very much on board. So we hit the ground running right away, developing a budget, figuring out, what kind of logistical constraints we might have, because what we hear often when it comes to service opportunities is students say, well, I wish there was some sort of, I mean, unfortunately, what they say is, I wish there was some sort of incentive. It's a lot to ask to leave on a weekend to go volunteer somewhere when I'd rather be shopping or frankly partying or whatever else you may do as a college student on a college campus on a Saturday. Um, and, transportation is a big thing as well. How are we getting to these events? Are we providing food? All these budgetary considerations that prevent us at the office from doing service more frequently, we took into account. We said, how can we use the grant to address those concerns? And then the next part was just identifying partners to work with and community organizations that would be willing to host us for these service outings, monthly service outings where we take students off campus, burst that Haver bubble, and get them doing direct service in the community with these places. So one of them pictured there was Rosebridge, which I'll talk about later. And, throughout the process, there were challenges, such as the fact that, we're operating on a college campus. The academic calendar is a real concern. So we, had to consider the fact that, well, when we get back from spring break, we're only going to have 3 weeks, and then we have this other academic event or obligation that we have to consider. And again, still generating that student interest, that active participation is always a bit of a challenge. So figuring out how to incentivize students to sign up, to go to these places. Food is a very big incentive for college students. So figuring out, how we can work in or incorporate a lunch that still prioritizes community involvement, community engagement, while also making it, a more desirable opportunity for students. And outcomes, which I'll talk about in the later slide, but as mentioned here, we walked away developing stronger partnerships with a lot of organizations. We grew the awareness of the OSCC on campus, which was huge. A lot of students who came to these monthly service events had no idea what the OSCC was or what it did. And as a result of that, a lot of them walked away expressing more interest in getting involved and doing the work that the OSCC does. So these are just some numbers to that effect. We had three service events that the fund supported from February to April. The first was I'll go back very quickly to show you. It's this event right here, the Morris Animal Refuge. So we went and we volunteered at a local animal shelter. It's one of the oldest in the United States. Um, the next event was on campus rather. It was our Celebrate Spring event, which we have annually, which is we bring a bunch of community partners on campus, community organizations, and they table and they just let students know what they're up to, what they work on. The fund supported that event as well, which was a major attraction for students. And the last one was another animal related event, which I didn't set out to do. It just sort of happened organically at Rosebridge Animal Sanctuary. So in total, we ended up working with over 100 students, staff members, and community partners across these events. Currently, there are 4 open student staff positions in the OSCC that people who volunteered have inquired about, which is great. As I graduated, so did everybody else who was a student staff member in the OSCC. So all of those positions are vacant, and we have a lot of interest from students who worked with us over these events, which is really wonderful. And I have some photos as well, just from some of the events. So that first one is from Morris Animal Refuge. We did a couple crafts to make toys for the animals to, improve enrichment. The next one is from Rosebridge Animal Sanctuary. We cleaned pens. We learned more about the sanctuary and again, sort of enrichment times with the farm animals, which was a super popular one. And then lastly, you'll see here, we're at a restaurant in this photo. It's a local restaurant, actually right up the street from Haverford. And this goes back to the idea that we wanted to make sure that the grant funds were supporting the community in every possible way. So this is a small business. It's called Bam Bam Kitchen. We took the volunteers after we were done and we had a big lunch at Bam Bam because we said to ourselves, it'd be sure great to go to an Applebee's or something, but we want to make sure that the funds that we're using are going back into the community. And this was an easy way to do it that still, attracted attention and interest from students. So next steps, again, the idea coming away from Fords for Philly was that we were getting more engagement and employment opportunities with the OSCC, and I think that has largely been a success. I have listed here the community-based work study program, student staff membership. These are just all opportunities to get involved with the OSCC, and they're growing, and the interest in these opportunities is growing as Fords for Philly wraps up. And the main goal that I had as well was solidifying this monthly service format where every month we're either going off campus or bringing partners on campus to, burst that Havre bubble and make service and community engagement a consistent thing on campus. And ingraining service in the Haverford curriculum is something I've discussed, not just with the OSCC, but with Haverford administration in general, bringing back that idea of an eighth dimension to the Haverford curriculum that's centered on service, centered on community involvement. So I'm hoping, moving forward, that is something that becomes more of a discussion on Haverford's campus. And lessons learned. Again, going back to the challenges of operating on a campus, generating interest, working around academic constraints, just learning to lead by listening, staying flexible, and really building intentional community. And I would say, again, my biggest takeaway is it is really these small community oriented opportunities and events that get the most involvement and the most interest. And it really is a snowball effect. Students from the first event pictured there, Morris Animal Refuge, went for a couple of hours, volunteered, got to hang out with some animals, and now many of them are applicants to work at the OSCC, not just for the next academic year, but for however many years they're on campus after that. And I think that's something I really want to continue doing, as I think about post grad, is just maintaining that community focus. Actually, this summer I'm working at the Community Progress Council in my hometown, which is something I'm really excited about, and I think it'll allow me to continue the sort of work that I did, not just in Forts for Philly, but everything leading up to it, grant writing, coming up with a budget, all of those aspects of meaningful community engagement are things I want to keep in mind as I move forward. So I ultimately am very happy with the experience with the project. I think it's something that'll continue to evolve. And I know, again, working with the OSCC, it's something they're definitely interested in keeping moving forward. So yeah, I'm really grateful to Newman and the fellowship for providing the funds and getting the project up and running.